All right, schedule builders. This is a quick rundown on the PowerScheduler process outline document that is available to you on the team drive. It is going to literally be as fast as I can make it because we are going to have some either training or some videos on all these different steps that we're going to start creating. First things first, obviously you would have had you'd have your goals and timelines set that was in a previous video, so you know what you're trying to do with scheduling. And then once you know that, then you can start coming in and working in PowerScheduler. Step A, my PowerSchool team sets that up for you. That step is already completed for the 1920 school year and we've notified you that that is the case. Moving forward, you are now going to be in a prepare to build mode. The prepare to build mode is going to run from now until we are ready to do our schedule build process, probably in late March. Between now and then, many of these steps are non-sequential, right? So I'm going to just cover them real quick. Managing the active course catalog. If you know of course changes, you know you're not offering a course next year, you can go turn it off. If you know that there's a course that's available in your catalog, but you don't have it marked to schedule, you can go turn it on if you know you're doing it next year. You can do that at any time. You're going to be doing it periodically. If it's me, I'm waiting until I tell you new courses are complete or there are no new courses, right? Step C, defining schedule parameters. Again, these are the things that I set up for you in section A with periods, days, things like that. If those are going to change, you want to talk to me, we'll figure that out. If you're going to do teams, if you're going to do section types, or you want to revise your section types you used last year, or do more, you can go start setting those up, reviewing them, making sure they're going to meet your needs or what you have meet your needs. Rooms, right? Are you building a new wing next year? If you are building a new wing next year, is it going to be done on the first day of school? How do you want to handle all those things as you build your schedule? Call me, we'll talk about it. But let's say you used a room last year for a program, like there are fake rooms you can use to cover certain things. Maybe that worked for you last year, maybe it didn't. Maybe you found it caused errors for you. You can go in and start tinkering rooms right now. The key thing is working with your principal. Are there any changes? And then as you find changes, you make those adjustments. Defining student information. PowerSchool team will take care of that in late October, early November for the initial setting. After that, we turn it over to you because when you start moving kids around, you can cause problems if you don't clear their course requests. But ultimately, after we notify you, we've set everybody up, then we'll tell you move all your special education students or anybody who's in a special program that requires they not be at their home school, and then work with student services on anybody who's a voluntary transfer at the appropriate times. Completing student course request process. Obviously, this is going to be different by each school. You can start working out how you're going to collect student requests now. Some of that is outside of the system, like who are we going to go see, what are we going to do, who's going to talk to whom. Or it could be, hey, we're going to collect it this way through PowerSchool. High schools are going to collect them slightly different. We've already had initial discussions on that, more to follow. You obviously cannot run your course request tally, which is a report to see how many kids signed up for every class, until your course request process is completed. Step G, define course setups to build and or load, right? We do builds. Course setups are how a course is going to build. Is it a year-long class, semester 1, semester 2 only? What's its structure look like? Does it have a facilities requirement? Is it a block or is it a not block if you're doing blocks? What priority does it have? Is it related to another class? Things like that, right? The setups from last year should be in there. You can run the course list report to see what the current settings are, but any brand new course has none of these. A brand new course comes in with a course title and a course number and no settings. So when we add a new course, you must go and set these. It causes errors if you don't. You don't have to do it the day I tell you the courses are added, but if you get to the schedule build and all those settings are blank, it's because you have to set them in your course catalog at your school. The district just makes the course and it's available to you, but Liberty High might schedule course A as a block where Liberty North isn't. So those settings have to be set at the school PowerScheduler's level. Defining teacher information, right? So obviously we don't know who's retiring or got another job yet since it's early in the year, but as those things come up, as you can make changes. Where this comes in handy early, right, is if Kelly Soluri, you used my name to schedule classes last year because you thought I was going to be here, and then at the last minute I took a job somewhere else. You had to go back and change, you had to go back and put the new teacher in my schedule. Well, you can go ahead and uncheck the box to schedule me next year and make me not a schedulable teacher in your system because I'm not going to be here next year. If I'm that new teacher who took over for me, you probably didn't have them as a teacher to build last year. You can go make sure they're available in your system now. You can do that now. You can wait until you get all the different teacher information later. It's non-sequential. You can clean up. My deal is clean up as much as you can as early as you can when you have time, because there's this much time right now between and when we do the schedule build, and every day we're just marching towards it. Everyone who does any schedule building anywhere is busy, but you will have times where, for whatever reason, if I'm calling kids down, maybe I've got to wait 30 minutes to see a kid because it's advisory. I might be able to knock out my new teachers from last year, just get them done, right? So try and problem solve how you're going to do that to take care of things. Defining build constraints, that's more we need to get later in the process for that. Those have to be done before scheduling, though, before you run the schedule if you want them to be effective. Building course rank is probably the most sequential thing we can do. You build the course rank as the last step right before you build your first master schedule. Then anytime you go back and make massive changes to your teacher assignments or settings, you might maybe want to build that rank again. But literally, there's no reason to do that until the next thing you're going to do is build the schedule. Downloading the engine to your computer, you can do that now. I've already done a video on that. You can do validates now to find errors that you can fix now. But you do have to have an error-free validation before you can ever try and build a schedule. After that, we get into the workshop when we will start building schedules. And if you get to the point where you can build a master schedule before the workshop, you can start it. But you build a schedule till all the sections are built. You define load constraints on, and you can do that earlier too, but you divide load constraints on students, like make sure Kelly Slurry doesn't end up in Rosemary Camp's class, whatever. There's things you can do for that. Load the students, repeat that process as needed. And then you need to evaluate your master schedule and student schedules using reports and screens, okay? So here's the idea with step O, evaluating a master schedule. Your master schedule is going to build. It doesn't mean it's going to be great. You might have to go make adjustments based on the settings you have. Oops, we don't have enough classes this hour for seats for all our kids. Oh, well, that's because we gave all these teachers that period off. Well, you might have to go back and reassess that based on looking at your schedule. So you're looking to make sure classes are spread right, that there's no obvious conflicts, things are going to be problems, but you have to check that. It's a good idea to run those things by maybe department chairs. Hey, did I get your assignments incorrect? I don't think we've ever had anybody get the schedule done on the first build. There's so much information that goes into a master schedule build, you will make a mistake. And that's not a problem. Everyone's going to make a mistake. The first run through is, hey, what mistakes did I make? What do we see that caused a problem? Oh, oops, I gave Kelly Soluri 9 Spanish 2 classes instead of 6 Spanish 2 classes. That's a problem. Rerun your build and loads as necessary until you are satisfied that your master schedule is appropriate and that the load percentage you're getting for your students is appropriate. After that, you would say, yes, this is our schedule, and you would release that schedule then to your counselors when we get down here into step Q and R. And step Q that's when you release it to your counselors. That's when you manually start making changes to things until you get everybody done. What you don't want to do is you don't want to release it in step Q and then go, oh whoops, we got to rebuild, because now all your counselors would have done a bunch of work that's for no reason, because as soon as you do a new build, a new load, there's nothing, all the custom work's gone. Step R, inform the PowerSchool staff when you're ready for us to duplicate your scenario and split your year-long classes. Here's the deal with that. Once that happens, there is no going back to do another build and a load. Once we split your year-long classes, every change has to be made by hand. That usually happens closer to the summer or in the summer. And then my team will commit your schedule to the live side. We do that usually the day before the day before we do the schedule roll, or the morning of doing the end of year roll process for PowerSchool. And once we do that, then you no longer work in PowerScheduler for that year. All right, long video, but hopefully some good information, or at least a good reference on what all those things are. We will have videos that cover probably a lot of those specific things in a lot of specific